everybody. It's great to be here with you all. I'm Maria Curtis, as many of you know. I see a lot of familiar faces out there. I'm the PI on our project entitled Building Sustainable Education and Research Partnerships Abroad. And my colleagues are Dr. Gina Moreno and Dr. Kathleen Garland. Our student participants on the grant are Hannah Rodriguez, Geraldo Hernandez, and our community partner is Badr El Yazidi from Oman, from Panorama Travels. All right, so our main goal for the grant was to really support the growth of UHCL faculty-led study abroad programming and to build new partnerships. So we already have a kind of good sense from interacting with students in previous trips that they tend to prefer to travel with faculty rather than to go on programs on their own. So we wanted to establish and grow our programs, both on campus to kind of expand what we have here, and then also to create new opportunities for interdisciplinarity across colleges and disciplines and programs. I think it's the first time that HSH and College of Business have kind of co-led a trip together. So that was really fun. And then, of course, we really wanted to, of course, improve opportunities for our students. And because we're an HSI, we needed to pay special attention to our Latinx student population. So our project incorporates all 4 dimensions of the IHAP's sustainability mission. In terms of the environmental aspect, I developed a new syllabus looking at environmentalism in the Arab Gulf states and in Oman. We focused on diversity, both in terms of our campus diversity, as well as diversity of ecosystems and different ethnic groups and different strategies in Oman. We focused on the impact of food sustainability and climate change on Omani culture. And also we're thinking about the educational and economic opportunities for our students as they gain more international experience as students on our campus. So we initially received a grant in 2020 from the US State Department to organize a faculty-led study abroad program to Oman. It wasn't the first program that we've had, it's actually the 4th, but it's the first time that we were looking at sustainability and food security. So it was new in that sense. We got the grant, and then guess what? COVID happened. So it was kind of paused, put on hold for a couple of years. While we were recruiting, we did most of our, outreach to students online and different kind of, webinar formats. We were finally given permission to travel, and we held we did the trip in January, early January, right before the semester started. So while we were in Oman, we did a lot of traveling in 4x4s. We got to see pretty much every nook and cranny in terms of the different ecosystems. So that was really amazing. We got to see, different landscapes, visited several different cities. And then we got to really visit markets and get to see what food meant to different people in different places. For the first time, we really focused on ministries because we really wanted to think about ways that we can continue to partner with people after the trip is over. So we visited the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Wealth, and Water Resources, the Ministry of Heritage and Culture, and the Environmental Authority. One of the universities that we travel to and that we hope to really launch something with later on, hopefully in the next year or 2, is the University of Nizwa. They have a really interesting chair there. It's a UNESCO chair for Aflaj studies and archaeohydrology, and Aflaj is an Arabic word. It essentially is talking about irrigation. So we got to meet with the leading world expert in this, which was just really exciting for our students, Dr. Abdullah El-Ghafri. So we learned about traditional irrigation methods that are still actually in use. So it's quite something to get to, see these these structures that were, shaped a couple thousand years ago. Some of them are still functioning and irrigating fields. So that was really quite unique. We traveled to the southern part of Oman, to the Dhofar region. It's climatically, it's just very different. There's a monsoon season, much like you would see in different parts of India, quite different than the rest of the country. Different flora, different fauna, and it's home to the Arabian leopard, which are, a species that has struggled. We got to go to an actual preserve that's run by Dr. Hadi Al-Hikmani, and he's one of the leading experts in this area. Our students actually got to do a pretty active hike with wardens. So that was something we hadn't done on previous trips. We learned about small-scale collectives by visiting camel and goat farms, talking with farmers, and then visiting what was going to be a production site. It hadn't yet opened, but which was kind of nice for us. They weren't so busy, so they had time to talk with us. But it's a production site where the milk is collected from different farmers, and it's tested for its quality and so on, and collected and then bottled. So it's up and running now. It was just about to get started while we were there. We visited the 1 Million Date Farm project, where we learned about the importance of dates as a staple in the Omani diet. It's eaten every day. When we were there, we ate it probably 6 or 7 times a day, along with little cups of coffee. And it's also, a really, really huge part of the Omani agricultural sector as well. We visited fish markets and historical Dow museums to learn about contemporary as well as pre-modern food security and trade routes. Something that we didn't really have on the itinerary, which kind of popped up, which was perfect for us, was we were invited or encouraged by the Environmental Authority to check out this restored mangrove project called the Hidden Forest. So faculty and students, we got to kayak through this beautiful place. And it was also a bird preserve. So there were some areas where we had to be really quiet, but it was just really fantastic. And it was, I think, one of the highlights of the trips, in terms of our outdoor activities. We shared a meal with Bedouin families and learned about their changing nomadic lifestyles. We got to ride camels at sunset, and that right in the Asharqiya desert. It's the largest sand desert in the world. So that was pretty spectacular. It's about 20 minutes, a 20-minute drive into the desert. Students got to learn about traditional Omani clothing, textiles, and Islamic art during our time at the Sultan Qaboos Mosque in Muscat, which is the capital of Oman. A little bit outside of environmental stuff, we visited the Royal Oman Opera House and also the Aliya Al Farsi Gallery, which is, I think, the largest gallery dedicated to a woman artist in the region. So that was really spectacular as well. After the trip, we held a reception. We invited all the participants who took part in the trip, as well as previous trip participants. We invited faculty, staff, and community stakeholders. For example, Occidental Oil is located here in Houston, one of the headquarters. So we invited some of them. So that was great to have all of these different stakeholders together, kind of talking about the trip and expectations and what each person and what we might craft together in the future. It was very fun to have the students at the reception. They were really, having had some months to kind of process the trip, had a lot to say about it. They shared their experiences and had, I think, just a good time getting back together and seeing the people that they had traveled with. So we started to analyze data that we've been collecting on student perceptions of study abroad programming at UHCL. So we did kind of 2 different collections, and one was surveying with 106 participants here on campus. They completed several self-report questionnaires that indicated predictors for studying abroad. And you probably wouldn't be surprised to know that most of their concerns are around finances and also how to manage family and work responsibilities. We also did a more qualitative based kind of collection with the participants in the study, some self-reporting questionnaires again, and it was really interesting to hear them talk about how their perceptions had changed and how they developed strategies for coping with financial planning and how to communicate with their employers to negotiate time away, and also just for themselves to kind of feel like study abroad was something that they could do and was ultimately something that would be enriching for them. So our preliminary research analysis have led to a lot of different insights and future directions for our work. Some of them are kind of surprising, surprising and not. Statistically, if you look at who takes part in study abroad, it's often women, and that's very much true for our campus. I think that we got a better sense of what barriers are for women, and just thinking through gender and travel and what that means. We're going to collect some more data as part of an observational study to further explore barriers as they're experienced by our Latinx students. So we want to thank IHAPS for this amazing opportunity to unpack, if you will, this trip. A lot of times we go on the trip and then it's over, and then we had fun. But this grant has really offered us opportunities to really reflect on the trip, to collect data, to think of ways that we're going to strengthen interdisciplinarity. It's something we always say that we have at UHCL, but this was, I think, one of the really concrete opportunities to see that, in action. And then, of course, we want to use the data to plan more inclusive trips in the future. And I think that we're also thinking that data collection is just really important every year, so that we always have a sense of what our students are currently facing. And with that, again, thank you for this opportunity.